Welcome to the Pathways to Profitability podcast, personal tales of business success. Are you feeling stuck improving your profitability? Learn from fractional business professionals how their services move your profitability needle. Here's your host, Cheryl Mucha, CEO of CFO Your Way.
Hello, and thank you so much for tuning in to the Pathways to Profitability podcast. I am Cheryl Mucha, owner and founder of CFO Your Way, and our guest today is Daya Naef, the owner of The Success Partner. Daya, thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome, Cheryl.
So Daya, I like to just start with giving our audience just like a brief overview of who you are and about a little bit about the business.
Oh, wonderful. Happy to be here. Like you said, I do own The Success Partner. So the Success Partner, we consider a law firm co-pilot. So in the fractional space, we come in and really help small law firms develop their vision, their clarity for the firm, and then we help them implement that as we roll out a program that's co-designed with them.
So very niche in the law firm industry. What made you decide on that industry?
I am a recovering practicing attorney. I practiced construction law for about 18 years. So I've been in this business now since 2018.
So what does that law firm look like? Is it like one partner, a couple partners, 100 partners? Like what is that? And I guess the dynamic is very different too between like 2 versus 100, right?
True. Yeah, we stay on the smaller side. We work with maybe 5 attorneys and under, with the bulk of the clientele being like a senior attorney, an associate attorney, and then their staff.
Okay, great. So give me like the overview of, you come in, they engage, you come in, what are the touch points? What are the pain points, I guess, that you're focusing on in order to improve the firm?
Absolutely. Well, one that's I'm sure near and dear to your heart is profitability. They're not quite making what they need to make, and they're not sure why. And then it's always a combination of things. It's not just one thing. And then often being a business owner, especially like a smaller business owner, you're totally in the weeds. You're in a fog, really, running your business. And so we have clarity conversations in the beginning to just kind of get out of that fog and see what's going on in the business and see what they want to have happen in the business, because often they've gotten quite far off track for various reasons, either had some work that they inherited, or had a client refer another client, but it wasn't really their interest or expertise. And so they've really gotten off of track of what they wanted to do, their vision for the firm, what they wanted to look like in the day-to-day, and where they wanted to grow it. And then, of course, exit it at some point in some fashion.
Right. So let's talk about the profitability component and how your work contributes to profitability. I mean, my mind is already going in all the ways that happens, right? It's the people, it's the processes, it's the clients, your billing, et cetera. So I'm guessing you touch on all those points and maybe more.
True, absolutely. And having someone like yourself come in is definitely part of the program. Not sure where exactly, because each program is custom designed,
Right.
but at some point we do need to look at the hard numbers and find out, where the money is going. I've worked with people who had associates on salary and like never had them track the hours. So we have to kind of find out, like, is this a good ROI? And it's just a skill set and information that they hadn't been gathering. And now we do need to gather that information just to make sure things are flowing the way that they could be flowing, even though they're flowing okay.
Right.
So definitely looking there.
The story behind the numbers, right? The numbers do not lie. And having the ability to really do that deep dive. I mean, this is the work we do all the time. Really doing that deep dive and looking at it per person per hour versus billing rates and whatnot. It's amazing. Lawyers are, they do their thing, right? They're good reading law. Don't ask me to read law. but on the flip side of it is like understanding how it, all the pieces of the puzzle come together and where those profitability leaks are.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. And then of course there's, visioning work, mindset, looking into new possibilities, areas of things that they haven't looked at. Given my background and the small firms I work with all over the country, I have some intel on what's working in certain areas, what's not working, so that if we're bringing up an idea and we're vetting it, then I do have the insight to sort of workshop that all the way through to a logical conclusion so that they can decide whether or not that's ultimately their decision, of course,
Right.
but
Of course, yeah.
I
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I say all the time with the work that we do, and you're the same way. Like you're so niche in just the law firms,
Mhm.
but your exposure to so many different situations. You bring that expertise from each client to every client. I say that all the time because we are exposed to so much,
Mhm.
right? And certain situations don't work in certain situations, right? So it's like that matching, like the drawing the line and connecting the dots to match the right mode or the right situation to the right mode of moving forward.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that definitely sets us apart. When you're working with a success partner, and we call it a program, but it's your program that we are designing with you. I
Right.
don't have a cookie cutter everything. I do have resources. I have CFOs like yourself. I have some other people like that do sales training, and other people who do like CMO services that I have in my network, but I'm not assigning them to you. And I'm not saying this is how your program's going to run. And right now we're going to start with sales. And next month we're going to go to the numbers. And next month we're going to meet with the marketer. No, we actually spend a lot of time up front together laying this out in the way that's going to work for you.
Right, because there are so many pieces. And that's what makes it exciting, right?
It's true. It's true. Yes. So it's definitely a fun profession to be in. I'm really enjoying my transition.
Great. So share with our audience a success story or like where you saw that light bulb go on when you were speaking to a client.
Oh, I love it when they go, "Oh, I never thought of that." Somebody had been in practice like maybe 20 years and now they're like pivoting or redirecting the firm in a certain way, and just to have that moment where it's like, "Ding," it's like I never ever thought of that. I never would have thought of that, and it just go and just take off. You know?
Right. It changes their lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, they start looking at things from a very different perspective.
So do you also get involved in like the people in the firm, like out, of course the partners or owner and all the associates and everyone underneath. I'm sure you do a lot of assessing and evaluating of, the overall firm.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what they want their engagement to look like. Again, that can be very customized. Some people have had me come in and do a lot of confidential talks, assessments to find out like the culture of the firm, the status of the firm, where everybody thought they were versus where the partners thought they were. Actually, getting their opinions on things like opening another satellite office or niching down more in certain areas, and it was very insightful. They definitely did not know what they did not know.
Oh, exactly. So you're working with a client. Is it like a long-term engagement or is it like a set, 18, 24, 3 years term? And then, so that's my first question. My second question is, how do you work yourself out of the engagement so that that they're set up for long-term success?
Absolutely. Well, that's another thing that we partner on. When I do sort of the initial consultation, we look at some things, and some things can be shorter term projects. They have a goal of maybe just hiring a person, and they're helping me with the search for that person. And by coming in and like getting the culture of the firm, getting the pulse of the people who work there, well, who's going to fit in the best, who's going to have the mission and the vision of the firm, the values of the firm. Of course, we have to like uncover what those are if those aren't set up yet. So that could be a shorter term engagement. And yes, sometimes it takes a longer, like if we're starting a firm from scratch, say before the person gets out of law school or before the person leaves the firm that they're at. having a nice runway, and then going for, we could go for upwards of 2 years working together. But yes, as you said, how to start phasing me out. I do start phasing myself out at some point. They'll start to grow to a point where they won't need me as much, which is great.
Mhm.
It's like, it's not like therapy that lasts forever. It's like, it's coaching, and it's not supposed to be forever. You are supposed to fly on your own.
Right.
And then I do come back and do touch points. A lot of people will elect to have me come in and run like a quarterly meeting after the
Mm.
fact. And those are fun. And then I also, as a kind of standalone or build your own package, also do the firm retreat structure. So where
Right.
we do a day or a 2 day and have speakers and things. So that's a really fun experience as well.
It's fun, and it's probably so eye-opening too for
Mhm.
everyone that's involved, right? Because not only you're hearing from someone else, but it's a different perspective again.
Different perspective, different environment. People go, even if you're in your same town, just going to a hotel for the day, using the conference room, not having to worry about food, distractions, and somewhere nice where you can relax and actually get to some of the core issues that haven't been discussed in the day-to-day work at the office.
Right. Leave the cell phones outside the door, right?
Yeah. I mean, if only that were totally possible, but yeah, we do the most to minimize distraction.
Perfect. So I just want to switch gears a little bit because I want to
Yeah.
give the audience a little bit about you and like your journey. So, a little bit about your background and what was the trigger moment that made you say, "This is what I want to do."
Yeah, thank you. I love to share this story. So I'm a very high achieving person. Did a lot of college, grad school, law school, into the practice. Have run a couple of businesses. I am an entrepreneur by birth, really, and blood. I grew up in it, and so I've always had. I've been running my own business. Now I've had some great long term contracts and things like that to have the stability, but always. Been at that in that entrepreneurial spirit. And in 2010, I had to take some time off from work. I had a car accident, and it took almost a whole year to recover.
Okay.
And at that point, I met a coach. I was having a coffee at my house because I couldn't really get out and do a whole bunch, but I would occasionally have some social events at my house that were low key. And we were doing a vision board workshop. So a woman had just moved from California, and she was a coach. And I was like, I have never heard of this thing before. So I met her, did the session, worked together for a few months. And I was like, so the seed was planted. And then when I did go back to work, I really concentrated on less litigation and more alternative dispute resolution. I started mediating and doing things that were more goal orientated, more like, what do you really want to get out of the situation you're in versus we're just going to litigate this and it's just going to follow the normal chain of events. And so in that, I realized that the business owners I worked with had made some decisions, and they had made a series of decisions that weren't the right ones. And wouldn't it be better if you could have somebody to bounce these ideas off of or direct you before you made the decisions that ultimately landed you in litigation? And a lot of it was, personality things. So that kind of planted the seed. So fast forward, I was partnered with my ex-husband's best friend, then husband, and he was working in the firm. So we had a small firm of the three of us. And when I asked for divorce, then we actually continued to work together for 2 years. So the firm that
That
we had
must have been
built,
fun.
actually it was. So the firm that I had built, spent 7 years building, we actually even got stronger in
Oh,
operations
wow.
because we couldn't just osmose what was going on in the firm. We had to like write things down. I had to get a CFO in there. I had to get like everything that was just kind of running okay, got really good at the
Yeah.
systems and processes. So
And get really clear, like
got
you were
really
saying earlier,
clear. Yeah,
really clear on where you're heading.
absolutely. So the communication was great. The firm was doing great. But ultimately, when the divorce turned less amicable, we couldn't keep it going. And I was like, well, do I want to start another law firm? Do I really? I don't know if I want to actually start another law firm at this juncture.
Right.
One, I didn't want to stay in Louisiana at that point. And two, like just having that clarity that people are making bad decisions.
Right.
People are not getting the support that they need. They're thinking in a vacuum. Especially lawyers, they're like just doing things the way things have always been done, and it's a whole new world. Technology and marketing and everything is different than the way that things were when we were in law school, or the
Right.
things we were when working in traditional model firms. The industry is in such a flux right now. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So I moved to Washington, D.C., spent 2 years up there, trained for coaching. I went to a life and leadership coaching school, trained for a year, programmed coach for them for 2 years, because we always like to be overqualified. And then the success partner was born.
I love that. And I love what you said too about, like, it's the mantra of, you're seeing with your clients, the mantra of, well, this is how we've always done it. Like, I hear that all the time. Like, we need to just wipe that phrase off the face of the earth, because times have changed. There's a better way, and rely on the professional to get you to that better way. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
And we're out there, and you're so specialized, and so your depth of knowledge just with attorneys and law firms. To me, it's a no-brainer. Hire the expert.
Absolutely. And we have so many consultants now that are super specialized, are just uber specialized. Then why not go right to that? Like, you had a very particular car that you had, like, you wouldn't just take it to any old mechanic. You would take it to that particular genre of car, because those are the people that know how to handle it.
Right. And you have that team to tap into. So you can see the struggle or the pain point with the client, and tap into that person on, on your team that has direct experience dealing with whatever that thing is, right?
Absolutely. I have a fabulous network. I'm so glad you are in my network, to also be the CFO services that is so desperately needed.
Oh yeah, law firms, they're a hot mess when it comes to finance. So another subject for another day, right? Is there anything else? Any other questions I should have asked, or anything else you want to share with our audience?
Sure. Most people ask me like what I do in my spare time when I have spare time, and so I'm an artist. I do life drawing and life sculpting, and I have for many years. So it really helps me to activate. I have a very right brain anyway, but to like actually work that muscle and get out of the left brain world that I bounce back and forth in most of the time.
And that's so nice to have a hobby like that, or a talent like that it balances us.
I think so. I said if I ever did any PhD research, which is not in the plans right now, it would be on that, like, why professionals need a creative outlet.
Right. And I always say there's not a creative bone in my body, but I do like I say the gardening and the that
decorating,
that creative.
Yeah, the decorating. I saw that summer house artwork over there. Yeah.
So Daya, thank you so much for spending time with me. There's so much here that will benefit our audience, and especially, those attorneys out there that just need that guidance. So, hey, you all attorneys, reach out to Daya for some great guidance and expertise.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for joining me. And to our audience, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Pathways to Profitability. Again, listen in not only to this episode, but to all the other episodes that are available on pathwaystoprofitability.com. There's something in there that you can glean from every episode. I learn with every single guest. Have a wonderful day.
That's it for today's episode of Pathways to Profitability. Remember to ask yourself, where can I pay my success forward today?